everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Reign of Horror, and I am your host, Nerd Coast Nostra. I hope everyone is having a good day. I hope you've had a good day, and if you're into your evening, I hope you're having a good evening. And thank you for spending just a few moments of your day with us here again at Reign of Horror. Doing well today. Far better than I deserve. We have a few updates on some upcoming projects coming to the horror genre. Got an update on some casting for an upcoming film. We do have an update for Alien Earth that came out recently. We have now a new teaser. Hopefully we'll get a full trailer at some point soon. But we did get a teaser trailer, a second one, and then we also have now a time frame of when Alien Earth now falls within the entire Alien IP, Alien franchise timeline. So now that's been confirmed, and we have an update, some G.A.Romero update. I know we recently spoke about him about, I want to say 2 weeks ago, where the last film, zombie film in his catalog was being worked on. It got greenlit. It's being casted. It has the blessing of his wife to move forward. So that's in the works. So we do have an update, not necessarily on that. It's actually an update on something that he would have been previously involved in. A franchise now that has actually gotten quite large over the years, over the decades, not just from a film perspective, from a video game perspective. Many of you may not have been aware that he was originally involved, but then obviously for various reasons dropped out. So we're going to cover that. And you know, like I've typically have mentioned in the past, we always seem to find out about these tidbits of things on films or TV shows years and years, sometimes after the fact of things happening. So again, I've always found it interesting to find out why, if there is rationale reasonings that are eventually released, you know, why is it that they never stuck around to work on a project, continue a project, you know, whatever the case may have been, right, wrong, or indifferent. Because sometimes when you have a director, a writer, or actor, actress who you follow or who you like and enjoy their work, and you're excited that they're going to be involved in a project that you've been wanting to see come to life for quite some time, and then all of a sudden they drop out. It's unfortunate, but it always makes you wonder what happened. Why did they drop out of it? So gonna cover off on that tonight as well. But before we get into the topics, if you haven't done so, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It does help us out. And drop a comment in the comment section about tonight's topics, or if there is something you would like to see us cover in the future, on a future episode, and we will take a look at it. All right, so let's get into our first topic of today's episode. As I mentioned, G.A.Romero's Resident Evil documentary releases in January 2025. So that's only, about a month, and, well, depending upon when in January 2025, but let's just say that's roughly a month and, a week and a half or so. All right, so let's get right into the details. Let's zoom in on this just a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. Here we go. All right, an investigative documentary that dives deep into one of Hollywood's most intriguing what could have been stories. Encore Entertainment has acquired U.S. and Canadian distribution rights to G.A.Romero's Resident Evil, Bloody Disgusting has learned this week. Directed by Brandon Salisbury, this highly anticipated documentary will be available on digital and on demand starting, there you go, January 7th. So roughly, a month, a little over a month and a half. Roughly a month and a half or so. January 7th, 2025. In 1998, Constantine Films set out to bring Resident Evil, the legendary horror video game, to the big screen. They enlisted G.A.Romero, the visionary director who redefined the zombie genre, to adapt the project. But despite the perfect pairing of horror's greatest minds, Romero's vision for Resident Evil was never realized. Now, for the first time, Salisbury's documentary uncovers the hidden story behind the project that captivated fans and the horror industry alike. Quote, G.A.Romero gave birth to the modern horror, the modern zombie, and ultimately Resident Evil, says Salisbury. Quote, I am honored to bring fans the untold story of his important unmade project to celebrate the legacy of the man that inspired me to pursue filmmaking as a career. I hope fans enjoy this ultimate experience in survival horror. George A. Romero's Resident Evil delivers an immersive, stylized experience, weaving together archival footage, newly uncovered documents, and fresh interviews with key personalities, taking inspiration from documentaries like Jodorowsky's Dune. Salisbury crafts a compelling narrative that revisits the people and creative vision behind this unproduced adaptation. So that's crazy. I had heard about this. I had heard about back in the day that George was originally going to be tied to Resident Evil, the first film. And let's scroll down. We can scroll down a little bit here. There's a poster for the film, and yeah, that's where it is. So it's just the poster. Again, I had heard about this, and having been a fan of George's work for as long as I can remember, especially when it comes to the zombie genre. I mean, who else has done it really? Who else has done it better and did it better, and for as long as he had done it? An absolute pioneer for the zombie genre, subgenre, but also for the horror genre overall. Definitely one of the, I think you could consider him maybe on the, like, if we were to say what's the Mount Rushmore of horror creators, directors, he could be in that conversation. You could definitely make an argument for him. So it's going to be, I'm intrigued to see what this documentary brings to light. Because again, when the first Resident Evil film came out, I mean, social media, all this type of stuff really either wasn't around or wasn't a big thing. So you didn't know exactly what happened and why it happened. But as I mentioned before, I always find it interesting that when these things come up and there are individuals who have all the documentation or interviews and evidence to say, hey, this is why it never came to light, I've always wanted to know. Because I'm wondering, where would the Resident Evil movie franchise be had George's vision originally been conceived and would have been released? Would we have seen it take off the way it did? Because it wasn't just the movies. Even Resident Evil as a video game franchise has released several versions on several platforms and has a beloved hardcore fan base and following on the video game side itself. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy some of the video games as well. There are some things I would definitely change about the video games, just from a user perspective. Now, the movies themselves, they definitely represent, especially the first two, represent the times they were made in. Especially when you look at horror movies today, or just movies in general today, they're very much a product of their time. So, again, trying to then think of how George has done his work in the past, or how he did his work in the past, because he's no longer with us, and what his final product would have looked like for a Resident Evil film. I'm sure nothing was ever filmed, or any raw footage was ever done, but who knows, maybe there was some stuff, whether that was storyboards, whether that was some concept things already put together, but then they just never happened. Maybe this documentary will show that. So January 7th, we have it marked on our calendars here at Reign of Horror. We'll be checking this out, and we will report back with what we think, what it uncovers, if it's anything that we didn't know, if it's new, if it's a bunch of stuff that we didn't know, and our recommendation if you all should check it out. So again, coming January 7th, so again, just a month and a half away. So moving into our next topic, we have Alien Earth gets a teaser trailer and a summer 2025 premiere window. So let's see here. We have the teaser trailer right here, which again we're not going to play just in case there's any copyright issues, but we will put a link for this article in the description of this video. So if you want to check out the teaser trailer, you will be able to do so. Let's get rid of some of these ads here. So let's see what the details tell us. The Alien franchise is set to come to FX on Hulu, so that's not new information. We have Noah Hawley, who's the creator. They started filming in Thailand last year, but we knew that got held up because the actor strike, so that we knew about as well. But they did finish up filming and wrapped up earlier this year. Again, now we have a summer 2025 premiere window. So let's see. Okay, so let's get down to these new details. One of the first things we heard about the Alien TV series, and one of the most surprising things about it, is that it will be set on Earth a couple of decades before the events of the first movie. FX chairman John Landgraf has said the show will take place right near the end of this century. According to Deadline, the setting puts it a few years before Prometheus, which Halley has previously said he has chosen not to acknowledge. Halley decided to set the show on Earth because, quote, the alien stories are always trapped in a prison, trapped in a spaceship. I thought it would be interesting to open it up a little bit so that the stakes of what happens if you can't contain it or are more immediate. Alien Earth also has the following synopsis. When a mysterious space vessel crash lands on Earth, a young woman and a ragtag group of tactical soldiers make a fatal discovery that puts them face to face with the planet's greatest threat. Then we have a list of all the actors actors and actresses who are involved. So again, we have a teaser trailer. We have now when it's coming out in 2025, summer of 2025. So one thing I'll call out though, as I was reading that, it mentions here a few years before Prometheus, which Halley has previously said he has chosen not to acknowledge. So I've heard conflicting information. I've heard that this does not happen actually before Prometheus. I've actually heard, and I will see if I can't find it while we're going here. So I've actually heard that it takes place roughly 2 years before the first Alien. So you have Prometheus that happened. So if I give you I'll give you the timeline, so to speak, right? And this is the Alien timeline by year. So this is why I'm saying I've heard conflicting information based on what this article says and based on where it falls in the timeline, so to speak. So you have Prometheus, which happens in 2093, somewhere around there. And someone, I'm sure, correct me in the comments if I have any of these timelines wrong. I'm going based off memory and based off a conversation I had with another individual on another show about a month ago, or longer actually, when Alien Romulus came out. So Prometheus happens around the year 2093, and then Alien Covenant happens later, around 2100, between 2100 and 2105, somewhere in there. I think it's closer to 2105 than 2100. Then Alien Earth is supposed to happen around 2120. And the reason I know that is because my understanding is that's supposed to happen 2 years before the original Alien film, which happens in 2122. Because then you have a massive jump of, I won't say massive, a 20-year jump to then Alien Romulus. And then you have a larger jump of a little over like 20 to 30 years to Aliens, which is 2179. And my understanding is, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but Alien 3 happens in 2179 as well, but just later on in 2179. And then the biggest jump we have is from Alien 3 to then Alien Resurrection, which happens close to 2400. I think it's like 2378, 2380, somewhere around there. It's either 2380, something around that time frame. That's when Alien Resurrection happens. So that's my understanding. If memory serves me right, that's how the timeline breaks down in the order. So this article stating that it happens before Prometheus, but he's not confirming. Again, that's contrary to everything I've seen come out thus far, that Alien Earth happens in a timeline perspective 2 years before Alien happens. But again, and I mentioned this, I think, in last week's episode, in an episode last week, that one of the things that they're going to have to figure out with Alien Earth, and hopefully they explain it somehow, is why the next few movies in the timeline specifically reference that they can't allow this xenomorph, this species, again, what they were calling it in the movie, to get to Earth, especially in Aliens, the second of the original set of 3 films. That was something very specific that Ripley's character was trying to prevent, was allowing the company, so to speak, to bring some of these face huggers or the embryos back to Earth. Because if you remember, one of the company men was trying to get Ripley and Newt impregnated. He had trapped them in the medical bay, or one of the medical bay rooms, let loose 2 of the face huggers with the intent of getting them impregnated. Then they would cryo freeze back to the main ship, main orbiting, whatever you want to call it. I won't call it a planet, space station that was orbiting around Earth that we saw at the beginning of the movie, especially in the director's cut. And then the idea would have been is to take them back, research them, but if they got down to the surface of Earth, then they would wipe out humanity. So that was one of them. That was like one of the secondary stories in that film. How are you going to explain that? If they're already there, Ripley and everyone else involved in part 2 would have known that they've already been on Earth. They wouldn't have any reason to think otherwise, especially since the time frame would only have been 20. What do we say? 2120 was Alien. Yeah, 2120 was Alien Earth. 2 years later was Alien. Then 2140 something, if you say 40. So we're talking 20 years. Ripley definitely would have known. Ripley would have been alive for all of that. So she would have known all this. So we'll see how they explain that. Again, I know I went on a tangent on that one, but again, that kind of bothers. These types of things bother me when it comes to films. When you start to insert prequel TV series or prequel movies that then the stories don't make sense to what's already been told to us, and then either they don't go back and explain it, or they don't take the time to fix it somehow. So we'll see what they do. More to come, I suppose. All right, so let's go into our last topic of the evening, which is new companion images introduce these central characters in mysterious horror movie. So again, this is a film we've touched on briefly, very brief, when we got some general information on it. There hasn't been too much, but we now have an update, which is Warner Brothers New Line Cinema producer Zach Kreger are keeping companions shrouded in mystery, revealing nothing about the plot. New companion images unveiled this morning don't uncover the enigmatic plot, but they do have us as a closer look at a key character. Described as a sci-fi horror movie, Companion will make the directorial debut of Drew Hancock, who has also wrote the script. At this time, plot details are under wraps. The sci-fi horror movie will release in theaters on January 31st, 2025. So that's coming real close. Let's just jump down to the images. So it says here we have, let's see. We have the characters Patrick and Iris here. Looks like she's holding her hand over a candle right here. He's got a glass of water or something. Looks like he could have been sitting down here, but she's got her hand. Well, actually, it looks like her hand's on fire. Actually, there's a candle here. If you see where my cursor is, and then her hand is on fire when he's walking over, possibly to put it out. And then we have, who Jack Quaid is as Josh in the film as well. So interesting. And then obviously not three. We have 3 characters, 2 images, and that's it. So this is coming out fairly quick. January 2025. Strong violence, sexual content, and language throughout. Rated R. I'm surprised we haven't seen a full out trailer for this one yet. Even a teaser trailer, I'm surprised we haven't seen yet. But actually, we have gotten a teaser trailer, but it was brief. It was only maybe a minute and 15 seconds or so, as you would expect most teaser trailers to be. So yeah, we did get a teaser trailer. But we have not gotten a full-out trailer to get a better understanding of what the story is. So hopefully with the January 2025 release date, we will get something maybe next month, which is, again, just in a couple of weeks. So I'd imagine we will get something next month, again, if they want eyes on this. But I'm happy, to see another horror movie making its early appearance in the new year. Because I think this is the second or third horror film we're going to be getting in January 2025 at cinemas. So I think that's a great start for the genre. to hit the ground running in 2025 with at least 2 to 3 horror films in theater widespread. So very excited to see that. Very excited to see this film. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for tonight's episode. I appreciate you again spending just a few moments of your day, of your evening with me here at Reign of Horror. It is greatly appreciated. And again, if you haven't done so, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. And drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think about tonight's topics. What do you? Again, I know I went on a tangent with Alien Earth, but the insert of prequels just gets me when you don't think about the story that you've already told and how it just wouldn't make sense. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Otherwise, we will see you at the next one. Peace.